Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to add Preciosa crystals to a heart link chain bracelet. Now, this might seem really simple, but I do have a few little tips and tricks in this video, so stay tuned. All right, so this is my heart link bracelet here. Now, this is actually a pre-made bracelet, and you can see that they are just little hearts there. And this is a beautiful sterling silver. So that's the first thing I want to talk about here. So while this bracelet is sterling silver, we're going to be adding these little baubles to it on each little heart there going down the row. Now, there are 30 hearts on this bracelet, but in order to leave a little bit room for the clasp and at the front here, I'm only going to be adding 28 beads. But with that said, I have some head pins here. Now, normally what we like to do is we like to match the metals. So if you're using anything sterling silver, go ahead and use sterling silver head pins. However, because I'm using so many, I wanted to keep it a little bit more cost effective. So I'm using the silver plate. Now you can see that it looks like the same silver, so there's no discoloration there. Sometimes there might be. You'll find that oftentimes with gold, if you're using a gold filled versus like a brass or something like that, you might notice a little bit of the change there. But for this particular project, I am going to use the silver plate to keep it a little cost effective. But if you'd like, please feel free to use sterling silver head pins as well. Now these are 2 inches and it's what I had on hand. Again, I want to keep this really cost effective for myself. But if you wanted to, you can use probably about a 1-inch head pin if you desire. All right. So to get started here, let's go over our tools. So today I'm going to be using a pair of chain nose pliers, a pair of round nose pliers, and a pair of flush cutters. So whatever tools you have on hand that fit these bills, please feel free to use them. Okay, so the very first step we're going to do is we're going to take one of our little beads here. Now you can see that I have 2 different colors and 2 different sizes. So this one here is a 6mm in that little darker pink. And my lighter pink is a 4mm. Now this is going to be the same technique for both, but let me show you using the larger bead here. So I'm going to take one of my head pins, just one, and slide it on to my crystal and let that kind of fall right down there at the bottom. Now I can come in with my round nose pliers, come in just above where that crystal is, just barely above. You see that? And now I'm going to bend it back towards myself. So I'm going to hold on to that bead and I'm going to bend that wire back so it kind of kinks going backwards. And now what I want to do is I want to move my pliers up just a little bit. I'd say maybe about 1/4 of an inch or so on my baby Wubbers here. And then I'm going to wrap that wire up and over the top and wrap it down. And then you can see from this angle here that I'm just going to rotate my pliers so that I have enough room to bring that wire across. Now this is where also you get that extra little pinch of an inch there so that you can hold onto that wire a little bit easier. If you are using a 1-inch head pin, you can also come in with your chain nose pliers and kind of complete that loop by pulling it this way. All right, so now I'm going to remove my round nose pliers here and I'm going to pick up my flush cutters and I'm just going to come in and just trim that right next to that little loop there. So I can set my little scrap aside, and now I have one of my little dangles ready to go. Now, as you can probably guess, what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat that for all of the crystals I have here. So again, I have 14 of the 6mm darker pink, and then I have 14 of the lighter pink in the 4mm. So go ahead and complete all of that, and then I will show you how we're going to actually set it up here on our bracelet. All right, so as you can see, I have all of my little dangles and I've alternated them starting with the 4mm on this side, on the left side here, and I've just alternated between the 4 and the 6 going all the way down. Now, the reason I've done it that way is because you'll notice I have my clasp over here on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, let me show you a little closer. You'll notice that the end is just an additional heart link, so there's no added jump ring, so I do need to be able to clasp my bracelet. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start in on this second one here. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice that it kind of twists and turns, and that's what we want because it's going to have a nice little sparkle to it. But for the purposes of adding the dangles, what I'm going to try to do is add it to the bottom of each of the hearts. Now again, these could twist and move and you can kind of see that they can like flip around like that, and that's fine. But just for the purposes of kind of adding it, sometimes I like to have that little peak there to add my little loop, and you'll see how that is. But don't get too caught up in that, you know, like I said, it's going to move around anyway, so let's go ahead and take our first little dangle here. So we have our first little loop here, and again, using that 4mm, I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers here and take that little loop in the end and kind of gently twist it open. Now you notice I'm not twisting it to the side, I'm just sort of twisting it backwards in that little movement right there, so you can see that I've opened it up a little bit. So now I'm going to pick up my chain and I'm going to loop it onto that little end there. And now I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers and just press that down, same way I came up. And we're going to complete that loop and go ahead and give it a little kind of shake, make sure it's not going to go anywhere, and we have our first little dangle there. All right, so let's go ahead and repeat that process with the 6mm here. So I'm going to grab my little loop, bend it ever so slightly backwards, or toward me rather. All right, and then I'm going to come in and hit that third heart there, and I'm going to slip that on, and kind of rotating that. There we go. Gripping that little loop and pressing it down and making sure it's not going to go anywhere. Perfect. So that's pretty much it. You just add those little dangles as you work your way down through this chain. So I'm going to show you what it looks like finished here. I'm going to add those off camera, and then I will be back to show you the finished product. Okay, so here it is, all done. Now you can see that those little heart links are just really sweet in there, and they have a wonderful sparkle thanks to that sterling silver. But since we've added all those beautiful Preciosa crystals, it just adds a really nice little style, and they move around a lot on the wrist, so it's really going to catch that light. So again, this is just a really beautiful bracelet here, and I do want to show you that end to end here. Let me line it up on my little ruler here just so you can see the size. There we go. So end to end, it's going to be a little under about a 7-inch. It's going to be about a 7-inch bracelet. So you can see that little 7 right there. Now, if you do want to extend this, what you can also do is go to this final little link here and add a chain extender. You can also add if you have 5 or 6 jump rings that you want to do, you can add jump ring after jump ring just to extend it a little bit if you so desire. So there's always that opportunity. And if you wanted to, you could take this front piece apart and add additional jump rings on this side as well, depending on how you want it to look. But this is going to be that 7-inch bracelet. So again, you can kind of adjust that, and also feel free if you want it shorter. You can either cut these little guys off if you wanted to, the little hearts there, or you can simply just kind of add it there, and then you'll just have a little dangling piece on the end. So lots of options there for whichever wearer will be enjoying this beautiful bracelet. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com. And if you're new to our YouTube channel here, be sure to hit that subscribe button below to get all the latest from Beadaholique.